In the final week of 2022, the world lost several stars and public figures. Join us as we pay our respects to a couple of renowned actors, a sports legend, a journalist, and even a global spiritual leader who passed away in the final week of 2022. Facts First presents celebrities who died last week, December 24th through 31st, 2022. Pele. Pele was a Brazilian record-holding soccer legend who held an astonishing 3 World Cup wins under his belt. He died December 29, 2022 from colon cancer and multiple organ failure. He was 82 at the time of his death. Pele was widely considered to be one of the greatest soccer players of all time. In fact, he's credited with helping popularize the sport in the U.S. during his peak years in the 60s and 70s. He was known for being the only soccer player to compete in 4 World Cups, winning 3. He helped lead his team to victory in 1958, 62, and 70. Pele went on to become a prominent Brazilian media figure and even channeled some of his athletic prowess into memorable film roles. Notably, he appeared in the 1981 World War II-era soccer film Escape to Victory, which revolved around a game played between Allied POWs and a German team. Pele also shared the screen with Sylvester Stallone and Michael Caine and was the subject of several documentaries, including 2016's Pele, Birth of a Legend, which took a look back at his childhood and early career. Most recently, Netflix released a documentary simply titled Pele that focused on his life from the 1950s to the 70s. He was also an accomplished musician. He composed music, most notably for the 1977 film Pele, and he also recorded several albums of Brazilian pop music. In 1977, he penned an autobiography called My Life and the Beautiful Game. From that point onward, the phrase, the beautiful game, became an oft-quoted euphemism for the sport. Vivienne Westwood. This revered fashion designer was frequently credited with popularizing and developing the punk styles of the late 70s. She passed away at 81 on December 29th at her longtime home in London. Westwood rose to fame in the UK punk rock scene of the 70s. She designed clothes for a Kings Road boutique called Sex that she co-ran with her then-husband, Sex Pistols manager Malcolm McLaren. Later, Westwood went on to become one of the driving forces in the fashion world, and her clothing designs were worn by famous folks including Pharrell Williams and Marion Cotillard. Arguably her most significant contribution to the realm of pop culture was designing the wedding gown that Sarah Jessica Parker's character, Carrie Bradshaw, wore in the 2008 Sex and the City movie. Westwood is survived by her third husband, Andreas Kronthaler, with whom she tied the knot in 1992. She has 2 children, Joseph Correa and Ben Westwood, who will undoubtedly miss her dearly. Barbara Walters. This legendary journalist was a fearless trailblazer, especially for women in journalism. Walters died at age 93 on December 30th. She reportedly died peacefully in her home, surrounded by loved ones. Walters' storied career spanned 6 decades, from 1951 to 2015. In that time, she accomplished more than virtually anyone else in her field, rivaling iconic journalists like Walter Cronkite and Larry King. She was the first female journalist to co-host The Today Show and was the first woman network co-news anchor. Barbara was also known for producing and presenting countless top-rated specials, hosting 2020, and helping create The View. She was renowned for interviewing every sitting president and first lady from Richard Nixon to the Obama era. She likewise sat down with enormously famous and influential public figures like Colin Powell and Mother Teresa on her annual special Barbara Walters' 10 Most Fascinating People, which aired from 1993 to 2015. For her years of dedication to her craft, Walters was awarded with both daytime and primetime Emmy Awards. In 1989, Barbara was inducted into the Television Academy Hall of Fame. John Bird. Comedian and actor John Bird died December 24th at 86. He was best known for his satirical comedy in the 1960s. He often appeared alongside fellow Brit comic and satirist John Fortune. The duo of English funnymen famously worked with impressionist Rory Bremer on the Channel 4 TV series Bremer, Bird and Fortune, which aired for 16 seasons and was nominated for several awards, including multiple BAFTAs. Rita Walter. Rita Walter was best known for being a long-running star of the soap opera As the World Turns. On December 26, the actress's brother, David McLaughlin, reported that she had passed away the day before. The date of her passing happened to be the anniversary of her exit from the popular daytime soap in 1981, following an 11-year run playing Carol Deming Hughes Stallings' Andropolis Frasier. Walter, who is survived by her 3 children, got her first big break in the 60s when she was cast in an uncredited role as Patty Duke's body double on The Patty Duke Show. Several years later, the budding young actress made her daytime debut as Wendy Phillips on the soap The Secret Storm. But it wasn't until she landed her iconic role on As the World Turns that Walter experienced major success. Her character, Carol, was introduced to the Oakdale scene as a plucky young college student working for a married woman named Lisa. Carol ended up marrying her boss's son, Tom, only to have her second husband, Jay Stallings, cheat on her with a woman named Natalie. Later in her story, Carol always seemed to find herself at the center of scandal. She adopted Natalie and Jay's daughter after Jay was killed in a construction accident from which he could have been saved by his colleague, Steve Andropoulos. One thing led to another, and Steve ended up becoming her next husband. After retiring from acting, Walter found work as an optician. At the time of her death, she was 71. Pope Benedict XVI. Pope Benedict, born Joseph Aloysius Ratzinger in Bavaria, Germany on April 16, 1927, served as the head of the Catholic Church and the sovereign of the Vatican City-State from April 19, 2005 to February 28, 2013. He was the first pontiff in more than 600 years to resign from his post and was considered to be a standard-bearer among more conservative Catholics who wanted the Church to return to its traditional roots. The former pope passed away on December 31st, ending an unprecedented era in Catholic history in which 2 men donning the papal white gown lived together in Vatican City. Benedict was 95 when he died at a former monastery where he'd been living since his unexpected and controversial resignation in 2013. In his first public speech following Benedict's death, current Pope Francis said that the Catholic Church and the world at large had lost a noble, gentle person. When the news of Benedict's passing was announced, bells could be heard ringing throughout Rome. The former pope's health had been rapidly declining throughout the Christmas season. After the public learned of his condition, countless parishioners went to St. Peter's Square to pray for the ailing holy man. The Vatican has announced that Benedict's body will lie in state in St. Peter's Basilica from Monday to Thursday, when Pope Francis will preside over his funeral, which will be held in the same square where Benedict presided over the funeral mass for his predecessor, Pope John Paul II, in 2005. After news of his passing broke, world leaders from throughout the globe, including Britain's King Charles, French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, were quick to send condolences. Now it's time to hear from you. Which celebrity deaths from the week of December 24th through 31st, 2022 shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments section below.